Paper Podcast.
Scissors beat paper, paper covers rock. Rock beats scissors, Shane covers non-stop. Never know what new kind of guest that he's got coming at you. Live and direct on the spot. Could be rock, folk, country, or hip-hop, jazz. All kind of folks that he has. Could be an artist or a comedian to make you laugh on the
Rock Paper Podcast.
double-decker fudge round, rolling round town. Shane coming at you live and direct from ground zero. He's your hero, he's your bestie. Rock Paper Podcast with Shane Presley.
Rock Paper Podcast.
Hey everybody, Shane Presley here, Rock Paper Podcast, coming to you from St. Louis, Missouri. Hanging out today on Zoom with my buddy Wiley of Die Criminal. Welcome to the show.
Hi, I'm Wiley.
Yeah, man. Welcome back to the show. This is cool. I'm excited to be here with you, even though it's not in person like I'd like to be. We're making do, especially since you're on the other side of the country and everything else. So, but
California living, bro.
yeah, man. Well, we had a lot of fun last night hanging with our buddy Gabe Stroop on the Stone Dog show, and the conversation came up that about doing one of these for my show because we were supposed to do this back in January when you came to town, and just kind of fell through. Both of us got busy with everything else going on that limited time frame, and so stinks that didn't happen. But I'm glad to be here today with you.
Yeah, I'm glad that we were able to do this, man. I this Zoom thing, it's pretty cool. I never really thought about doing the podcast this way, but this is good. And, everything seems to be sounding well. It's sounding good. So
yeah, it's not quite the same. Just like anything else, like the live concerts on Facebook Live, and all that. So like it's still cool to see your friends and hear the songs, but nothing's going to replace the live connection that happens being in that room and stuff. But I'm still having a ton of fun doing these Zooms and getting to still be active and recording and hanging with my friends and stuff. So I'm really glad we have this technology now to do this stuff.
Yeah.
But since you've last been on the show, some things have changed, and you now are doing a brand new solo project called Die Criminal. And you released the debut EP, and you also have a single out there called Closure. So we're going to get into that and give everybody a little sneak peek of what Wiley's been up to and talk about some of this stuff. But I guess first, man, let's talk about that night a little bit. We did cover some of it on the Stone Dog show, like I said, but June you came into town. We did like this solo project, Strikes Back. We called it, and Wiley as Die Criminal, Ryan Chaney's solo project, Gabe Stroop with 333, and Antonio ATG from Discrepancies. And that was a wild night, man.
Yeah, that was a blast, dude. Like that was the first time I ever played acoustic solo by myself live like that. Do it at my house all the time. It was the first time I did it like that, and it was terrifying for me because I've always had a band backing me with distortion and loud drums and all kinds of stuff. So you can kind of hide behind stuff, but when you're playing acoustic, you can't hide behind anything. So if you miss a note, you miss a string, you sing out of key, it's very prevalent. Or if you do what I did and you forget to put the capo on your fucking guitar. That was so embarrassing. I was in complete shock and awe because I started singing the song. I'm like, why am I not singing this in key? This is really bad. And I looked, and I was like, oh shit. I just popped it on and went right back into it.
Nothing to see here.
Yeah. Carry on.
Yeah, no, I can't even imagine, man. I mean, like, especially just, like you're saying, like, are you so used to being up there with your buddies and your brothers and bands and all these different things, and it's very vulnerable to put yourself out there, just you and a guitar, and but I thought you did fine, man. I mean, especially for a first time doing it all, and like it's pretty pretty big change.
Yeah. You know, I don't try to be an amazing singer or anything like that. I we talked about performance versus, putting on a show versus being sounding like the CD or sounding like the actual recording and stuff like that last night. But on the Stone Dog show, but when it comes to me, like, you gotta think things from a different perspective once you get up there to sing just alone with acoustic. So I had to be somewhat good, but man, I practiced so much and I still fucked up. Luckily, I'm a somewhat funny human being sometimes, especially when I'm drunk. So I that's the only reason I got through that one.
Yeah. Well, that was a great night, and it was some really good hangs that evening. Just one in the room at Blueberry Hill, seeing a bunch of our buddies down there, and then afterwards having some beverages at the bar and stuff, and a lot of just good times. And so we need to do that a whole lot more often.
Oh yeah, man. And I want to do that again so bad. I can't wait for this stuff to clear up. I want to get back. I want to do another show with all of those guys. What a lineup, man.
Yeah.
What a freaking lineup. I had no business being on that damn show. These guys are all incredibly talented singers and frontmen. And I'm just like, hi, I'm an asshole. Here we go. But that was so fun. I can't wait to do it again. Gabe and I have been talking about maybe doing a Zoom kind of like live performance at the Storyteller kind of thing, like what you've been doing. Man, we should all link up and make something like that happen, dude. That'd be so awesome.
Yeah, man, I'm all about it. We'll see. Try to work out the details as far as technology wise, how we will make it all sound the best we can.
Yeah,
that'd be cool, man. See if we can do that. But you, so you are out there in California, Sacramento area. I was wondering, like, you do come in here quite frequently. Still get to make come back home, and but what's the one thing you do miss most about home? But you have a certain dish that you think about when that's the first meal you're going to have when you come back home or anything?
One of the things I love coming home and doing is there's several things, but I'll start with this. One of my favorite things to do is immediately go to Broadway Oyster Bar. I always run into you. I always run into my friend Kimmy. My friend Donna doesn't work there anymore, but I always would go there and see a lot of my friends, and it was always great. I love that place so much. That's like one of my favorite places to go and hang out. But I have to get T-Ravs when I get into town. Like, I have to get toasted ravioli like immediately. That's like one of my top things. Also, I don't have, this is going to sound really stupid, but I don't have Qdoba out here. So I'm stuck with Chipotle, and Chipotle is trash and I hate it. They're like, oh, we have queso now. I'm like, this bullshit ain't queso. You're not fooling anyone.
Right.
But I have to get some Chipotle. I have to get some Qdoba when I get into town. I also like, I like the sliced pint. I really like that restaurant. I like their T-Rav pizza that they have there. It's another one that I like to do. I think Emo's is garbage. I think Emo's is complete and total garbage. Yep. I'm not trying to talk trash on the organization. I know they do wonderful things for the city, and I think they're amazing people, but their pizza is absolute garbage. If I wanted shitty stale crackers with shitty cheese that sticks to my teeth, I mean, what the hell, dude? Right. So no Emo's for me. I'll go to Pie because Pie is amazing. I have to go to Noodle House. I love Noodle House. So, man, now you got me thinking about going home and eating.
Dude, I wish I could go Oyster Bar right now, man. I've been missing it so much. Like, it's more than just the food and the music down there, man. It's just family for me. Every time I go in that room, it's just hugs and high fives all the time down there, and it's just so much fun. But
every time
also happens to be incredible food and music down there all the time too. So
yeah, they also have my favorite beer there. They have the Babita Purple Haze, and that's not everywhere, but they have that because it's a Louisiana beer, a NOLA beer, I guess would be a good way to say that. And I love going there, and I like drinking way too many of those, and
yeah, man. Dying. I'm right there with you though. That's all those are classics for St. Louis and stuff, man. I was going to tell you a story, man. Speaking of the Chipotle versus Qdoba, my buddy Jeremy used to go to school at UMKC, and I'd go up there and visit a lot when, just like stay for the weekend at his apartment and stuff and hang out. And we used to go to the Chipotle all the time because there was one nearby. And we didn't have anything in St. Louis at the time. I mean, this is like 2004 or something like that. They didn't quite make it to St. Louis yet. And so we'd go to Chipotle every time I'm up there because I'd always be craving it. And so we'd go there. And then he ends up transferring to UMSL. And so we're sitting at his apartment off of Del Mar one day. And we're like, man, really could go for some Chipotle right now. So we decided to go out and look for some lunch, and just happened to like park in the Loop, like take a walk and see if we find something to eat. And we walk into Qdoba, and it's like almost the exact same like floor layout and everything else, like very similar. And we were like, this is like some kind of sign, man. Like I've been hooked ever since on Qdoba, but it was just,
I love it, dude.
It was just a weird coincidence that we were just talking about it and having to walk in like on no idea, just randomly walked into a restaurant. They were like, all right, let's check this out. And then it was like, the doors of heaven opened up, and we're like, yeah. So
I love their taco soup or whatever, the tortilla soup or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
I love that so much. And I was like, okay, now once you got all that shit in there, you got that, whatever that soup is, go and just put a big ass dollop of queso right in the middle, and then some sour cream on top of that. Now let me just chow down on that son of a bitch. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, let's play the first track. We're gonna give a little preview and what Wiley's been up to with his Die Criminal project, and this is a song called "Still Standing." Again, track 1 on the brand new EP. So let's talk about this particular song, man. What is there anything you need to share around these lyrics, or recording wise, or anything else?
No, I mean, this song I wrote kind of a long time ago. Like Die Criminal, I've had this band name forever, and I've been wanting to use it. And when I first moved back to Sacramento in 2017, I guess that was, I was still in For the City, and I came out here and I joined a band, and they were like, hey, you have any cool band names? And I said, well, I've been sitting on this Die Criminal band name. So they were working on a song, and I wrote the lyrics to Still Standing for a song that they were playing with them. And then we didn't stick around. We didn't stay playing the band. So I wrote an entirely new song around those lyrics. And it's honestly, it's the first time I've ever done that. It's the first time I ever wrote music to lyrics. Usually I write music and then the lyrics come in, but I actually wrote the music to the lyrics. But, I was just in a spot in my life where a lot of good things had been going on, and a lot of the positivity in my life had been building up. And I've been through so much, whether it's work, life, losing family members, losing friends. And I was just like, man, I'm here. I'm fucking doing this. I'm still standing. And that's what this whole song's about. I remember when I was writing the lyrics to, I think it's the second verse. It's I can feel my pulse beating in my fingertips. I was holding my acoustic guitar, and I was trying to write with that band. I was trying to write something with that band. I was holding my acoustic guitar, and I could feel like I was really hyped up and excited, and I could actually feel my pulse in my fingers. And I was like, lyrics. So I kind of threw that into the song. But yeah, Still Standing. This one's about shit's gonna come at you from every different which way. But if you're strong, if you're passionate about yourself, and you know what you want out of life, man, you can get through anything and come out the other end still standing.
Second hand, fast in feel my pulse beating in my fingertips as you collide with my mind. I feel a sense of knowing, and that's my conscience showing. What will you rewrite for me? Turn the pages and see I am alive. I'm not giving up. I will be better than yesterday. Take me alive. Give me room to breathe. I will make my mark, 'cause I'm still standing. My heart's still beating, you see, with the hourglass. As the sand pours out my feelings, turn me right side up again. I will remain your open book for leisure, leaving my pages, baby. This story is never ending. I am alive. I'm not giving up. I will be better than yesterday. Take me alive. Give me room to breathe. I will make my mark, 'cause I'm still standing.
Hell yeah, man. This is this whole thing is, I mean, a really great project. I listened to it twice today, just kind of getting fired up to record with you, and everything. I mean, all I think it just really sounds great. I know you worked with a man by the name of Dan Marsala. You're recording with him at Encapsulated, right?
Yep. Dan's actually out of Encapsulated now. He used to just record, my old band For the City in his basement. We used to just record there, but now he's actually over at Encapsulated Studios. And man, he's so good. He's so good. He keeps getting better and better and better. And he's so good. And working with him is, I don't really want to work with other people after working with him. He just, he knows my style. I know his style, and we just we know how to get in there and get it done.
Yeah. Had you guys been buddies, but before recording with For the City and stuff, right? Like you guys go back a while.
Yeah, we go back a while. I probably started hanging out with him back when I was in From Skies of Fire. I used to sing for a band, From Skies of Fire. And I mean, I'd always kind of known him for a long, long time, just kind of passing through and, same cliques and groups. And but then we actually started kind of becoming friends back when I was in From Skies of Fire. Then I moved to California, and Story of the Year went on a couple tours during that time, and he came through Sacramento. And every time we come through Sacramento, we'd do what we do, and that's usually get blacked out, stupid drunk.
Yeah, he so he, I guess, is engineer on the record.
Yeah.
And but you said you also played drums. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I program the drums. Like, what's cool about another cool thing about this EP, and it's the first time I've ever done this. I built kind of a studio in my bedroom, in my spare bedroom, and I actually recorded all those songs myself for demos.
Right.
And I recorded my own demos, and it's not awful. And that was really cool to me that I did that. And it was not awful. So I even programmed the drums, because I can play drums, but not well. So I programmed the drums. I wrote the drums. I wrote the parts and stuff. And I went into the studio with Dan. It started with just Closure. That's the first song I did. And Dan's like, "Hey, man, you got some cool drum ideas here. This is physically impossible for any drummer to actually do. But some of the stuff, here's what we should do instead." So he kind of took it and he produced the drums, and he did the drums and made them more realistic than what I was trying to do, which really helped the songs out. He also does a lot of harmonies with me. I don't like to harmonize myself when I record. It just doesn't, to me, it doesn't sound right whenever you harmonize yourself. Some singers, they only want to harmonize themselves. Me, I don't really want to harmonize myself unless I have to. And that helps me with harmonies and stuff like that, to add a little bit of a different element. But outside of that, man, he does the drums, he records, he produces the drums and the music. If he thinks one of my choruses or something I'm singing is trash, he'll be like, "Don't do that," and he'll tell me like, "Let's try it a different way. Give me other ideas you got." And, we'll spitfire and go back and forth about it. But Dan's kind of the second member of the band.
Right. I think that's cool too, that like, of course a lot of people are going to know him as being a vocalist for Story of the Year, but he's also an incredible drummer. So that's a lot of people I don't think realize that he can drum also.
Yeah, he's a great drummer, man. I remember unfortunately when Johnny Venus was going through his leukemia stuff, Dan jumped on the Greek Fire tour and played some shows with Greek Fire on drums, and man, he killed it. Johnny Venus is an incredible drummer. Anybody that's just jump in that quick and do Johnny's stuff, man, it was awesome.
I can't remember. I'm pretty sure maybe he may even play drums on that show, but I was at one of those like very first shows. It was at Foo Bar, and it was Fuck Off and Dies and Greek Fire, and I think I remember like Dreaming in Deja Vu or something like that was like the only thing I had heard yet of Greek Fire. But I knew, and I think everybody else in the room knew that these were like the two side projects from those guys, and so it was really cool to kind of be there, like in the infancy of these projects, and see these two bands and stuff, and of course, Greek Fire has done really well, and it's really cool to see what Moon continues to do with that project and stuff, and the rest of those guys, but Fuck Off and Dies is still a really good time, man. Just some rowdy punk stuff, but
dude, they broke down in Sacramento a couple of years ago, and their van broke down in Sacramento, and I have a truck. I usually drive my car around, but I have a truck in my garage, and I was like, you know what, guys, you can take my truck the rest of the tour, just take it. They're like, no, dude, thanks for the show tonight, but you're gonna drive us to San Francisco tonight, and you're gonna go to our San Francisco show with us. And I was like, okay. So I went to the San Francisco show, and then all I remember is that there was some NoFX members that made appearances, and then there was someone's Jameson. We almost drank that bar out of Jameson, and I don't remember anything, but they drove me back in my truck home. We partied, and the next day I got up, they woke me up, like, dude, get in the truck, let's go, you're finishing the tour with us. And I had to go I went and finished the fucking tour with them, with the Fuck Off and Dies, which was probably the craziest 4 days of my fucking life. Just the shit that those guys we got ourselves into when we were out there. But man, I love those dudes. I love Mark and Gabe, and I love Dan. All incredible musicians as well.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I imagine that'd be pretty wild. That'd be a good time.
My liver. They have the whole deer liver thing that they have going on. Yeah, fuck, man. That was insane. It was really funny because I have really, really bad acid reflux. Like really bad acid reflux. If I don't take my heartburn pills, like it'll get me. And when we started driving from Sacramento down to Santa Barbara. When we were driving down to Santa Barbara, we had not a big, like a handle of Jameson, and we were drinking on it. And I'm just like, it was me. It was a super cab truck. It's like a truck with an extended cab, a big super cab thing. So our boy Kevin, Mellow Yellow touring guy, if you know our boy Kevin. So Kevin was driving. I can't remember who was sitting. Gabe was sitting in the front seat, and then it was me in the center and Dan and Mark. And we were just passing that thing back and forth, and they kept forcing me to drink it, even though like I was dying. Like I smelled anything, I was just suffering so bad. And they were just like, man, you keep just taking it like a champ. I'm just like, just drinking Jameson with my acid reflux just murdering my chest. It was, man, that was, I will never forget.
Yeah. We one time 14 of us took Amtrak up to Chicago for Cards Cubs game, and my buddy's bachelor party that weekend, and we so Amtrak doesn't really care. Like, you can drink on the train, you can bring a cooler of beer or whatever, and so we did that, and then but we're all sitting, side by side on the aisle, and somebody breaks out a bottle of Goldschlager, and we just start passing this bottle back and forth between the aisle, and we downed maybe half of it or something by this point, and so one of the employees comes up to us and was like, "Yeah, guys, you can't do that. Like, you can drink on the train, but you can't drink like that." It's like, so apparently drinking down in a bottle of Goldschlager is frowned upon on Amtrak. So, but
that's funny. Well, you're pounding Goldschlager. I mean, fuck.
Yeah. It was a wild weekend though. We had fun. So that's my drinking time story. But we were talking about Dan, and you got him to sing on this track "On My Own." That is track 2.
Mm-hmm.
And this is this was great. It was just, especially I love that you invited some special guests to join you on this record, and so it was nice to hear Dan doing the chorus on this, and kind of helps just break it up, give it a different feel, completely different than Still Standing and everything too. And so how did this? I guess you guys were just recording. You're like, Dan, why don't you just sing this one, or how's that conversation come up?
When I was in For the City, I was always telling him, I was like, Dan, sing on our album, sing on our fucking album, man, sing on our album. You're on the damn Fat Beats album, the Discrepancies album. It's like sing on our album. He never got around to it, and I hit him up this time when we were recording. I was like, dude, you should sing on this song. Like, I have the screaming part of the second verse. I really want you to do that. And he was like, yeah, dude, let's fucking do it. Let's do it. And then that's how Dan responds to things sometimes, like, yeah, let's do it. And he's like, yeah. So he threw down those screams on that. He also harmonizes with me on the chorus on that one. He's so good at everything he does, and I hate him for it. Like, as a musician, if he's screaming, it sounds fucking amazing. If he's singing, it sounds fucking amazing. If he's playing guitar, he's great at guitar. Like, that dude will play Skid Row songs until his fingers fall off. Like, it's no business, man. He will just sit there and he'll Skid Row you to death. And he'll get behind the drums and he'll murder that stuff too. So having him on here was a huge treat. But I already had my buddy Bon throwing some shit at me because he's like, oh yeah, you released a song called On My Own, but then you had help from Dan. I was like, fuck you, Bon.
that sounds like a Bon.
Yeah, fucking Bon. I love Bon so much. It's just it's a good group, man. Good group of friends. Actually, Bon's probably one of the reasons that I am such good friends with Dan. So nice little Bon drop in there.
There you go.
Done biting my own tongue. These words need to be said, and my mouth is full of blood. It's like the oxygen was sucked out of the room every time that you walked in it. It's not what you say.
Yeah, man. Yeah, they're all. I mean, that's what being around all this music and stuff enough now. Like, I mean, that's my favorite part. Is like all these guys are just great dudes. Just some of the best people, and they happen to make great music too. So it's a lot of fun to getting to enjoy their music, but even in having a bunch of best friends around town too. So
yeah, it was cool because Dan, like the moment I told Dan that I wanted to do kind of like my own project, right, like immediately whenever whenever I was released from For the City released, I was like, dude, I want to get in the studio. I want to record the song. I have the song. It's already done. I wrote Closure 10 years ago. I literally wrote that in 2009, 2010, and it's evolved over the years. But I got in here and I had been playing with some riffs, and this song originally sounded more like a Slaves song. Like, I don't know if you heard the band Slaves, but it sounded more like that. And I was like, man, I don't want to sound like that. I want to sound my own thing. So I was working on that song, and obviously I was bitter with the For the City stuff. I'm over now. That's why I write. I write to get through things and get over things. The song was not so much as like a slap in the face to them, but it's definitely me saying, hey, this happened. Now I'm going to get out here and I'm going to do this stuff on my own. And, on my own doesn't mean that I don't get help from my friends or support or direction. It just means that I'm going to get out here and I'm going to put this project together, and I'm going to hustle, and I'm going to put in the work to make sure that, it sees the light of day, that people know the songs and share the songs and come see me play shitty acoustic shows. Me shitty, not everybody else that was playing. Me shitty. But that's what this song's all about, man. It's about, your friends, your coworkers, whether you're the place you work at, if you're married, if your marriage is going through tough stuff, like sometimes you just have to kind of suck things up and push forward on your own a little bit. And that's kind of what this whole thing's about. A lot of times your friends, they don't even realize that they're hurting you when they're saying some of the stuff they're saying. Cause they're, there's this whole like mean culture. Like Mean Girls was like a thing, and then like, as I got older, I have a lot of friends and we're all smart ass pricks sometimes to each other. And, we have like this mean culture where we just insult each other. We know it's out of fun and love, but we just tear on each other. And it gets to the point where that's all it is. It's just tearing on each other. And they don't, sometimes you don't realize that you're actually doing damage to people's confidence or something like that. And that is all kind of wrapped into why I just wanted to push forward and do things on my own. So I really, really like this song.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I can relate. Like it wasn't quite a band, or that type of, group setting, but just, there was some of that too. Whenever I was doing the show with Chris, I used to have a co-host, and not that it ended on bad terms or anything, but he just got busy with everything else he was doing, and, being dad and just, so he had to step away. But so there was a lot of that, not necessarily, where kind of on my own, I'm like, I took it upon myself to prove to myself that I could do this. I didn't know what I was doing. I learned from Chris over the years, but still didn't have any idea what the hell I was doing when I started doing the show. So it's like, so for me, I'm very proud of what I've been able to accomplish on my own, and over the last nearly 6 years of doing the show and stuff, what I've been able to create. And so there's nothing wrong with that, man. Just light a little fire under your own ass and stuff too, to prove to yourself you can do this. And
yeah, and that's the biggest thing. I've already heard people talking and saying and whatever, and it doesn't mean that, like, because I wrote a song and an album called on my own about me going off and doing things on my own, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to do things with other people in other projects or other things, or I'm not going to. It just means that I needed to do this for myself. I needed to do this to prove myself that I could, and that I can be successful with or without others around. And so you did the same thing, man, and you're killing it, dude. I'm over 800 podcasts now.
Yeah, man. Yeah, 807's the last one out there now.
That's awesome, dude.
It's crazy. I don't know how. It's crazy to think about spending this much time and 6 years doing this, but still having a great time doing it, man. So I'm going to keep doing it. But I enjoy it.
Freaking better.
Yeah. I have a whole lot of fun doing these things. So it's glad people are enjoying it, and that continue and take this journey with me.
Yeah, I'll always support, brother.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you, homie. Yeah, that's kind of what we were talking. We mentioned last night too. There's something, like briefly, but like that's really where our friendship started. Was I think we were sitting out there outside of Start Bar, and me, you, and Jeremy, and like that was like the first time we really like sat down and talked and stuff. And
yeah, because the first time it was the whole band. It was the whole band at Lamp, and then the second time was out there outside of Start Bar, whichever bar. Yeah, the barcade.
But I mean, like we'd been friendly for a while. Like with the band, it was kind of hard to like sit and talk one-on-one, obviously. But like, so that was the first time we were like kind of got to that point. But we had, I think when you were talking about From the Skies of Fire, I remember that. So like, that's how St. Louis has been. We've always kind of all run in the same circles. But I'm just thankful that that we've become great friends through doing this show and stuff, man.
Yeah.
So you did you say something about your neighbors complained last night? Did you write? Was that for real?
Yeah, that's real. That's real. Yeah. So, because we got loud, I like I get passionate, and
you're like it's like 2 a.m. and you're screaming, "fucking" and stuff.
So everybody, make sure you listen to that Stone Dog show episode. It's really good. Or really bad. Your call. There's lots of Fat Beat Steve farting, so enjoy that. But no, that I had a horrible hanger, because even after we finished the podcast, I got on and FaceTime with a couple of my friends last night. Alan Hessler, actually, he's one of the guys that originally recorded Story of the Year and stuff way back in the day and got them going. And he's done like the Used and a bunch of other bands, but he and I are actually working together. I'm going to go do an EP with him as well, kind of in between working with Dan. So me, him, and my buddy Pat were all on last night talking, and that also got loud because we were listening to music, and I got sub in here, and but I woke up today and I wasn't getting out of bed. I was hungover. I was really hungover, and I just heard her knocking on the door, and I went and kind of peeked out to people, and I just didn't answer. I just I went back to bed. Right. And then she saw me because I went there's a little I live directly across the street from the Sacramento River. There's like a river beach over there, so I just went for a little walk and checked out the beach today when I started feeling better. And she saw me coming out, and she's like, "Hey, I'm not trying to be a jerk." And I was like, "No, you're fine. I was being obnoxious last night. That's my fault. I'm sorry."
Yeah, that's funny though. I can just if she only knew what was going on the other side of that computer screen.
Yeah, dude, I dropped a few C notes, man. I dropped some cup bombs, so right. Really loud.
Well, we had a couple of questions people wrote in for you, and want to get these before we forget about it. But Chris Bouillon writes, how involved was Dan on the creative process in the studio? And I think we kind of covered that one. Dan was pretty hands-on with a lot of this, it sounds like.
He was hands-on a lot of stuff. I mean, he didn't. He helped with the drums and the vocals. I mean, the songs were already written. Mm-hmm. He helped correct some of. He helped me change around some of the vocal melodies on a couple pieces of it. But Dan and I just work really well together. I know kind of like what he wants before I even go to the studio, and the things that he'll have an ear for and he'll want me to address and adjust. Plus, I did a bunch of demos before I ever went in to record with him, so he knew what he was getting into, and we'd already worked out a lot of stuff. But Dan was mostly just the drums and the programming of drums and the harmonies. That was his big input. He didn't have a lot of creative impact on this, but he's more than welcome to. He's more than welcome to.
Sure. Well, I mean, that's like you're saying. I imagine that's kind of what you, why you hired him or whatever, however you want to word that. But why you asked him to be a part of this project is to push you to do these different things. Try this, try this vocal run or melody or whatever it is. Try this different things, and because I feel like that's the whole really. Role of a producer is to offer these different ideas and try to push you to create the best product you can. So,
yeah. Alan Hessler, when I go work with him, he's really excited to work with me because he wants to make me cry. He's like, "I'm going to make you cry." the studio when we start recording vocals. And I was like, oh, fun. To where Dan's way more relaxed, and he'll call you on stuff. He won't let you put out bullshit, but he doesn't try to murder you in the studio. Like most producers, they try to murder you in the studio, not necessarily be mean to you, but they really just want you to dig down deep and get every ounce of anything you can bust out. And I think I still do that with Dan. He just has a different approach to it, so it's pretty cool. And I want to record with as many people as possible right now, because I'm also learning how to record and do all this stuff. So the more people I work with, the more ideas and tips and tricks I can pick up along the way.
Yeah, man. Colt Bricado of the Cerebral Entertainment Podcast writes in.
Love that dude.
Oh yeah, great guys. Him and James are both good guys. Colt writes in, dude smooches. What's up with that?
Man, dude smooches. That should be like. I should trademark that or something. That was a for the city. That was a for the city thing. Me and it's a bummer. I honestly do miss those guys to an extent. But Dustin and I in For the City, we just started. This is gonna sound awful. We started kissing each other. We're not like, oh baby, but like we just thought it'd be funny. Like if we're out in public and we're about ready to like get on stage, or maybe we're gonna part ways, just be like, and like leave, and people are like, what the fuck just happened? Right. And that quickly escalated into just like being like For the City's thing, like dude smooches. So we just fucking kissed people. So then we started having our shows, and our CD release show, the Panic CD release show for the City. That one, they were actually trying to keep track of how many dudes I kissed, and I think I kissed like 55 dudes or something. Yeah, there's some videos. There's some funny videos. Actually, me kissing Pat Blair from Killer Me, Killer You and Monster Eats Manhattan. He that's in the music video for Panic.
There you go.
But that's dude smooches. It's just ignorant, fun,
sure,
bros.
Yeah, what's wrong with the kissing your buds? Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Nothing. There's nothing wrong with kissing your buds. And actually, there's a pretty iconic photo. A photographer took a picture of me and Dan dude smooching at that show in the back room of Pops. So that makes it cycle through the posts on Instagram and Facebook every few months, which is pretty funny. That's like the iconic dude smooch. So
Jason writes in also, ask him about his experience in the Shattermask video.
Fucking looped. Jason. Looped, number one, is one of my favorite human beings. I don't get to see him or talk to him very much, and that sucks, and that needs to change. But Looped was the production lighting guy for Inimical Drive. I don't know if you used to go to Inimical Drive shows way back in the day, but when you did, there was a fucking light show. There was an incredible light show, and it was Looped. I mean, I remember one time Looped built a big, huge cobra snake head that hung behind Mark when Mark was drumming for Inimical Drive, that kind of hung and like smoke came out of his mouth. All that stuff was Looped. Like all that stage production that Inimical Drive used to have, that was Looped going nuts, and it was awesome. But Looped loves to make fun of me. So does Bond. So does Joel. Shattermask. I'm sure you know the Shattermask story and everything with Shattermask guys. But I was living in. I'm from Southern Illinois originally, Carbondale area around the SIU, and Zach from Underworld X hit me up. I don't even know what happened to that guy. He was a good dude too. He hits me up. He's like, "Hey man, I got this band that I work with, and they're looking for a show this weekend. I know you're playing. You have your band playing a show down there." He's like, "Could I throw them on?" And I was 19 or 20. I was 19 or so. This is 15, 16 years ago. And this is before all the priest stuff happened with Shattermask, or at least was found out about. I don't know, who knows how long that bullshit went on, but those guys jumped on the show. That night they got caught doing drugs in the bathroom, just all bad, dude, just all bad. But it was a party. They were filming a DVD. I was drunk off my ass as a 19, 20-year-old kid at a bar. And there's there's a video of me hugging Priest in that video, because they made an actual DVD, and you can So Bond fucking found this goddamn thing 10 years later or something. It's like, oh my God, why is this in a Shattermask DVD? So it started this whole hashtag fuck Wiley thing that was going on for years and years. It's kind of funny because now Coyle from Hard Lost, you know, he's got the fuck Coyle thing. And I'm like, hey, know your role, kiddo.
Right.
But yeah, Shattermask DVD. So I'm in the Shattermask DVD hugging Priest. Didn't know the guys. They played on my show. I was hammered ass drunk. Priest and I had a backflipping contest because I used to do backflips on stage a lot, and so did Priest. And there was a backflipping contest, and then like we got trash ass hammered and hugged each other, and that's in the fucking DVD. And now I never ever hear the end of it. There was a show, the last From Skies to Fire show. I moved to St. Louis. I moved from St. Louis to Sacramento the first time in 2013, like in March or April of 2013. And I came back that September and played a From Skies to Fire show. And it ended up being our last show. But Bond was working at Pops at that point in time. Bond had Dustin. What Dustin Hook's job is now, that was Bond's job back then. And Bond printed off pictures of me hugging Priest, like a bunch of posters, like full posters, and put them everywhere in Pops. So you open the fridge in the green room, there's a picture. You look in the bathroom stall, everywhere. There was one everywhere. And then whenever we took the stage and we came out, lights flashed up. This was our headlining show. Lights flashed up. We hit the stage. I turned around and he handed out like 50 of these damn things for everybody just to hold up in the air. And it was me hugging Priest from Shattermask, and it said, fuck Wiley. And I had to like try to not fucking die of laughter when that happened.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's yeah, that's rough one, man.
There's that mean culture that I was telling you about.
Right. I think they were telling me some of that stuff. We did a Brook Royal pod, and they were telling me something about like somebody, I forget if he mailed them or somebody mailed them to him, but like a bag of gummy dicks, and it said like eat a bag of dicks or whatever.
Yeah, Bond got mailed that a couple times. Yeah, he called me. I remember that happened. He called me. He's like, "Do you fucking do this?" I was like, "No, I wish I had." But like 2 weeks later, I got mailed a bag of gummy dicks.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, I guess when you're in that, when your buddies are a bunch of dickheads like that, that's what's going to happen.
By the way, I ate those gummy dicks,
and they were delicious.
They were delicious. I love gummies. Goddamn, I love gummies.
Yeah.
You put them in dick form, still putting them in my mouth.
I do, man. I remember cruising 70 and looking up and seeing that billboard of Shatter guy. I guess is that Priest is a
Priest, yeah.
And I like right after Rock Road or something like that, and I was like, holy shit! Like I remember that day, and like it was weird, man. So
everything got real bad for me after that.
Yeah, you mentioned Inimical, and that's probably a good tie-in into Above the Grave, featuring Inimical Drive frontman Joel Colby.
Big brother.
Yeah, man, another fun one, and like again, bringing the heavy on this track also. But you and Joel, you guys go way back, right? You said,
yeah, way back. Joel, I remember I used to play bass in a band called Lost Cause. This is a Southern Illinois band, and we played our first pop show. I think we were all 18, like 17, 18 years old. And I came up there and played in Inimical Drive. It was a Sunday night local show back in 2003 or 4. 2002, 2003, 2004, somewhere around there. And Joel, Inimical Drive was playing. They hadn't even put out like their second EP. They still had their first terrible train wreck EP out. Sorry for Bleeding. I have copies of it if you want it. It's so bad, it's amazing. I love it. But they were playing the Sunday night local show, and we were, and I made business cards myself with like sheets of paper. It was really jank and crappy, but I gave him one of those. I was like, hey man, if you guys ever want to play down in Southern Illinois, like I got you. I book shows at this venue called Muggsy McGuire's and stuff. And, you know, he takes me outside to his, I don't remember, he had an SUV, but he takes me outside to his SUV and hands me a bush. He's like, hey man, drink up. I was like, I'm 18. He's like, I don't fucking care. And that's when I had my first ever bush. And I love bush now, but I was like, I'm not going to drink bush. What are you doing? And I drank it. But that's where the friendship started, man, like all those years ago. So I think it was 2003. And so from that point, we started trading shows, and I went through multiple different bands that I had been in. And Joel has literally been like my big brother in music and helped me get to where I'm even at now with music. So not that I'm anyone special, but it's been a long time and a lot of cool shit because of that dude.
I bury my friends up on the grave. Let's take it for what you would say. It might be you don't know your pride. I guess I'm giving you what you would claim. Chasing frustrating on top of the grave. What else could be left to say? Today, I have moved on. I have lost a lot of friends this year, but at least I have found my way. I guess it's worth it 'cause I spent a lot of time finding myself. I bury my friends up on the grave. I have lost a lot of friends this year. What they call themselves. It was worth it 'cause I spent a lot of time finding myself. Maybe they should do the same. We're all proud, so much that we hide how we really feel. The time feels right to swallow your pride. Might as well fill a cup and finish what's the bottom inside. I lost a lot of friends this year, but at least I have found my way. I guess it's worth it 'cause I spent a lot of time finding myself. I bury my friends up on the grave. I have lost a lot of friends this year. That's what they call themselves. It was worth it 'cause I spent a lot of time finding myself. Maybe they should do the same.
So when you're writing Above the Grave, is he the one that came to mind? I need to get Joel on this track, or
I wrote that chorus to that song when I was really going through the shit with For the City. Like I was really hurt. You can read the lyrics in the song and kind of let that take you where you need to go. But I needed something to be cathartic to get me through that situation. And that song was so aggressive, and I really liked the riff in the song, and I love the song so much, and I wanted to be heavy, and I didn't want to just get on there and just me scream my ass off. And Joel had just gone through some stuff musically with people as well, and it's like, hey man, you want to team up on this song? Like, I sent him the demo, and he started kind of working on it or whatever, but he kind of wrote our situations into that song. He wrote the verses. I let him take the verses. He wrote those verses all himself. I wrote the chorus and that bridge. But I think we both kind of, needed to get through something, and we did this together. And I think this is probably one of my favorite songs I've ever written or been a part of. Joel and I have been talking about singing together on a song for years and years and years. I used to get on stage with them and do one of their songs with them. Every time they played a show, I used to get on stage and sing their song "So-Called Suicide" with them. And I've always re-record that song and let me guest vocal on it. And we always talked about us doing guest spots. But he came in the studio with me and Dan, and he laid this down, and it was awesome. It was awesome. And I love the lyrics in this song that he wrote when he was doing it, when he's writing this stuff down. And he's like, "What do you think of this? What do you think of this?" And I was like, "Dude, this is fucking brutal." But it's good, brutal, cathartic. Getting out of our system, so we can move on past this shit and, get to the next stage of wherever we need to be musically, professionally, whatever. And, I think we've all been in a situation where we've outgrown or been outgrown by our friends. And sometimes those differences end amicably. Sometimes they're not so much, and sometimes there's nothing, without any closure, without any kind of anything. And I think that writing this, the chorus, I've lost a lot of friends this year. At least I found my way. I guess it's worth it because I spent a lot of time finding myself. I buried my friends above the grave. I didn't murder them, but I put that friendship to death. Killed the friendship, because there wasn't the two-way street. The two-way streets weren't coming through. So, and Joel had a similar situation going on. Only it was kind of funny how our situations work, where he was almost on the other side of what I was on. But it was cool the way we were able to put this together and write it.
Yeah, man, great song. This again, you can find everything Die Criminal. You can stream this soul record on wherever you're getting digital music. You can be sure to follow along with Die Criminal on your Facebook and Instagram. And are you looking to maybe doing any physicals or anything else with this, or what do you got?
I'm not going to do any physical copies. I'm just going to do digital. Physical copies are just too expensive to produce anymore. I might do vinyl at one point in time, which is very expensive, but I think vinyl would be a cool thing to do. If anybody doesn't want a physical copy, you can literally, the way that I have my album published is that you can go to Amazon and you can actually order a physical copy, and they will cut a copy and mail it to you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So this might be dry. I'm actually working on a little project. But yeah, there's the kind of the album, the way that it gets kind of sent to you. So
all right, well, I didn't know they did that. That's cool.
Yeah. So if anybody does want a physical copy of the album, you can just go to Amazon and get it that way. But it's everywhere digital. I might, for fun, just put out maybe 100 vinyl in the future or something like that.
Yeah, man.
It's everywhere. Listen to it, YouTube, everywhere.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool, man. I'm a big advocate for vinyl. I've been trying to. And luckily, a lot of my friends are all in the same boat, and they also support vinyl, and so it's cool to go and buy records at my friends' shows and stuff. So, but yeah, I have pretty good collection going, and some of them I'm very proud of, and I've got a lot of them autographed and framed on my wall and stuff. And
it's awesome.
Someday, whenever that comes, I'd love to have a massive record collection to pass along to my kid or something like that, and introduce him to all my cool music that I was listening to. And hope that they have an appreciation for it too.
Yeah. The vinyl, man, when I was a kid, my mom had all kinds of vinyl that she and my grandma, they both passed a lot of vinyl on to me. And I remember being like 6 years old, like 5, 6 years old, seriously, sitting down with a record player and listening to all of Michael Jackson's albums up to Bad, like all of them. We had all the Jackson 5, we had all of the early Michael Jackson albums, and all of it. And I would just sit there and just listen to Michael Jackson over and over and over, all the records, the 45s, the full LPs, man. Those are the days, man. I still, I actually, there's a really awesome record store in Redwood City, California, out here, in the Bay Area, south of San Francisco. And I have one of my stores, the company I work for, one of my stores is over there right across the street from it. And I went over there and they have everything. It's a house. It's a house. This guy turned into a record store where you literally can't see a wall in the entire house. All the walls are lined with records from top to bottom. And he has everything. I went back and I bought a lot of those records, those old Michael Jackson records and stuff that I had listened to when I was a kid. But I have like 50 records right now. I don't have like a gigantic collection, but I have like 50, and I love vinyl. I love it so much.
Yeah, those kind of stores can get dangerous for me, man. That's why I don't go to vintage vinyl very often, because I don't have quite the budget that it takes to purchase a bunch of those, man. It adds up quick.
Yeah, I tried to start a project a couple of years ago. Well, I guess 2015 is when I started the project. I'm trying to buy a vinyl of every album that impacted me musically, like my own musical career, whatever you want to call it. And I've done some pretty cool stuff. Like I remember when I finally found the Finch vinyl from the What It Is to Burn album. I was like, oh my God, I got it.
Great album.
I've got every Jimmy Eat World vinyl. I've got every Amberlin vinyl. I've got every Story of the Year vinyl. So it's just all the stuff that influenced me a lot. I bought those if available.
Yeah, I don't think I have. I know I bought Wolf's on when they did the pre-order on vinyl and stuff, and I have Greek Fire on vinyl, but I don't think I got the other like I don't know if I knew that they pressed the other records on vinyl.
Yeah, apparently their old label or whoever owns their old label, I guess they pressed it. I don't think they got anything off of that, but I bought it because it was a red Page Avenue record. Like the record, the vinyl was red, and I was like, I have to have this. So
yeah, I've been I also enjoy that. Like it was Rival Sons. They did like a pre-order where you could do you could essentially pick like any color or pattern that you wanted. Like there was all sorts of different options, and it was all coming like directly from the manufacturer. So theoretically, you could have maybe possibly had a one of a kind of this record. If nobody else picked that particular pattern, possibly. So I thought awesome. That was, they had all sorts of different colors, like blood splatter and swirls and whatever, these different things on the record. So I was like, that's really I don't know what that costs, but that's a really cool idea, like to be able to have that kind of be able to customize a record like that.
Yeah.
I also been involved with like my locally. I think it helped introduce me to them. My buddies, the Manis brothers, they're all about their records also, and they introduced me to this guy Chris does Romanus Records, and he actually does a lot of pressing his own albums, and he does like these like that are like filled with like sand and different like stuff, and I don't know, it's really crazy what they're able to do, and still sounds great. And
yeah,
it's like almost like I don't know, it's just fun. It's just another layer to the experience and stuff where you got different or like a blood filled one. I have a Django Unchained soundtrack with like blood filled record and stuff, and
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's so cool. That is so cool.
Yeah, but anyway, so it's just that's you don't get that with CD. That's what I'm saying. Like it's just like you don't. It's just something different to enhance the experience. So
yeah, if you got a really good record player with some really good headphones, man, you can especially go back and listen to some of the stuff recorded and pressed back in like the 60s and 70s. you hear shit that you never knew was there. It's really cool.
Yeah, man. Let's finish the EP with a song called "Drawing Lines," and this, man, I really like this one a lot. So I'm guessing that's you screaming all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yep.
that's one of the most like heaviest I've heard you get and stuff. Like, so it was cool to hear you these growls and stuff coming through there and on the recording, and sounds really good.
Yeah. It was funny when I wrote this song. Actually, to be honest with you, when I wrote this whole thing, there was no real screams going to be on this record other than Joel on Above the Grave. There was not going to be any screams. But then when me and Joel recorded the song Above the Grave, and it's kind of funny, Joel and I actually end up sounding like each other on that song. But Above the Grave, the bridge of the song, I'm screaming that bridge on that song, and then I was like, fuck, man, I want to do a little bit more screaming on the CP now because it got me so pumped up. I was like, yeah. So with this song, I was like, man, there's some good spots here that I want to put some screams in that I thought about before, just never really took it seriously, but got in there, and those are some really nasty. Those are some nasty screams.
Yeah, man. Well, like I said, I never really like. There was a little bit, for the city and stuff on that record where you guys would get a little heavier, but like I don't recall any screams quite like that. So, it was fun to hear just a little different take on some of the music for you.
Yeah. This is my favorite song, I think, to play on guitar. It's a really cool riff, really fun riff that I wrote a couple of years ago, and I hadn't really done much with it. And so I had the opportunity to record this, and I was really excited about it. This song is actually about me. I wrote this song because I'm a workaholic. So if you look at it from that perspective, you can read the lyrics of the song or listen to the lyrics of the song and think that it's about something completely different than what it's actually about, which I think is pretty cool about it. But I'm actually talking to me. I'm like looking at myself and drawing a line in the sand saying, dude, you have to separate this stuff, and you have to worry about yourself, your own health, the people that you care about, these things, instead of just working yourself to death all the time. That's what the song's actually about.
Yeah, I like that though too. Like, where a song is almost open to interpretation. Where it's like whatever you have to draw the line for yourself and stuff, whatever it might be. So apply it to your own circumstances. So yeah, I enjoy
writing
that.
lyrics is so fun. Writing lyrics is just, it's so, again, there's that word cathartic, man. It's just so fun. It's so good. And when I say these things and I write these things, I put it on paper. It's kind of like I'm sending I'm putting my stamp on this. I am going to fix this. I am going to get better at this thing. I'm going to be better at this. And, the Panic record for the City, that whole record, all 8 songs on that damn thing was about getting better, learning from mistakes and getting better. I developed anxiety the year before. We put out that album before I joined the band when I was still in California. I got really bad freaking anxiety, and I'd never really had to deal with or battle that before. And I had to kind of like take inventory of my life and find out what I was doing that put me in situations that was creating all that anxiety. So that album was actually kind of like a letter to myself saying, be fucking better, make wiser decisions, make smarter choices, so you don't put yourself in that same position. Whether it was, a song of, there's like 2 songs in there about kind of more relationship style things, and the other ones weren't really about that at all. So it's with this whole thing is just more notes to myself. Like, I'm going to get better. I'm going to get through situations, and I am going to come out the other end a better person for it. And I think that when you have the ability to write like that, even if you don't have the ability to write like that, if you just write yourself, I don't care if you're a singer, I don't care what it is, write stuff, write songs, write poetry, and make that as like notes for yourself, goals for yourself. Because as human beings, you want to make improvements on yourself every single day, or else you're gonna have probably gonna have a pretty whack ass life if you just continue being the same person,
right?
All the time. Because whether you come to terms with the fact that you're a dickhead like me, I can be a dickhead, and I've come to terms with that, and I've tried to work on that stuff, and I've written many a song about it. Whether it's, not that I'm trying to be a dickhead to people, I don't even realize I'm doing it when I'm doing it. I think I'm being fun and everything's great, but actually I was kind of a jackass and I didn't mean to do those things. So I've written songs and taken mental notes and put things in place for myself through my music to make sure that I'm changing my approach every day. So,
yeah, man. Yeah, I think that's good practice. It's good for all of us to strive to be better tomorrow than we were today. So, I wanted to ask a couple of questions that I've been asking people and having fun with these. And so you get to front the band and sing one song. What's going to be the band and what song?
If I could front any one band and sing any one song. Man, that's a good one. My favorite band ever is Deftones. Deftones tattoo. Man, and it would have to be Deftones, Thrice, Amberlin, or Jimmy Eat World, or Foo Fighters. Like, those are my favorite bands. So like I don't even, I'd want it to be Deftones, and I'd want it to be Engine Number 9 in a tiny venue.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Specific.
Man. Yeah, right.
I want that song with the Deftones, tiny venue. I would lose my ever loving mind. And I can't, my friends, if we're driving and that song comes on, they flip out and change it because they know I might crash and kill us, because that's just one of those songs that just,
right. I saw those guys, I forget the name of the tour now, but it was the Alice in Chains and Mastodon tour.
Black Diamond Sky or whatever. Yeah. I was at that show. I went with my friend Julia. We both went to that. She was actually friends with the Mastodon guy, so we were backstage hanging out with Mastodon, and then Deftones came up, and I almost had a heart attack. And yeah, that was an awesome show.
Yeah. I went to the St. Louis here at Scott Schrade, and we're down on the floor, and I got up. We were up pretty close. We were maybe 15, 20 feet back from the stage or something like that, whatever it was. And Yeah, that was a wild night, man. It was a good show.
I have a drumstick over here from that show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a drumstick. I don't know where it's at, but I have a drumstick over here somewhere from that show. Trying to see if I can find it, but I don't see it anywhere. But yeah, that was.
I got to see Slash with Miles Kennedy years ago, and down in Springfield, and my buddies Exit 714 opened up the show, and I caught a pic from Slash, and so that was one of my coolest rock and roll moments and stuff, and like catching that, and then I ended up giving it to my buddy Cordy, who plays guitar with Exit, and it also grew up playing guitar because of Slash, so I felt it would mean a lot more to him
awesome.
than myself. So
yeah, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
But I'm not kidding. I was going through stuff up there the other day, and there's a drumstick over there somewhere, and it's
Right.
from that show.
Nice. Yeah, man. What's a dream duet or a collaboration you would love to do? Like, is there I mean, obviously, I'd probably along the lines of some of those bands you already mentioned. But is there?
If I could do a dream duet, man, I think I'd want to do with Haley Williams.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Like that, I'm in love with her solo stuff so far. It's amazing. I love it. But I love the way she writes. I love the way she sings, and I think that would be awesome. One of my top bands I really like is a band called I the Mighty. They're actually from out here in San Francisco, just right on the road. But they have a couple of different songs that they have. They're good, heavy rock and hard rocking songs, and they have beautiful female vocal parts in a couple of those songs that they kind of go back and forth and kind of take turns singing. And another one kind of like perfectly harmonizes the girl from New Year's Day. I can't remember her name. And she perfectly harmonizes him to the whole song. And the verses are like this really fast, flowy. You just stopped and broke it up a little bit, it'd probably be rap. And it's beautiful. And I would love to do something like that, kind of like an interweaving duet part with Haley Williams, man. That'd be sick.
Yeah, man. Let's make it happen.
Yeah. Hey. What up, girl? I'll let your boy.
All right. What do you have any celebrity crushes?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's kind of funny. My biggest celebrity crush still to this day is it's Sandra Bullock. I love Sandra Bullock. I'm in love with her. I'm in love with her. I'm in love with her.
Right.
And then Mandy Moore.
Yeah. Those are my buddy Adam Ray. We've become friends through comedy. He's come to St. Louis a couple of times, and I mean, I guess I use the term loosely that we're buddies, but we we're friendly with each other and stuff. We talk and every time I've seen him in town and things, and he's done the podcast, and I'm a big fan of his podcast. But he's also been able to do some acting, and he got to be in Heat with Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCarthy, and there's like a scene I guess where he's like got us put his face in Sandra's boobs and stuff, and like and he was like talking about how like it was like the greatest day of his life, and and that kind of stuff, like getting paid to be in that movie and stuff.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I love her so much, man. My love for that woman is probably a little creepy.
Right.
I would just splash around in her dirty bathwater. I don't even.
Yeah. I agree, man. Mandy Moore also, she's also fantastic. I really enjoy her on This Is Us also, and
yeah, I love that show.
Yeah. I wanted to also kind of get into that. It's not really one of the questions I wrote down here, but you mentioned something last night also while we were, I don't know if it made the show, but we were talking off mic, I think it was, after about Scrubs, that you're a giant fan of that show also.
My favorite show of all time.
Obviously I know of the show. I like Zach a lot. I like Garden State and stuff. I like his work in there, and like some different things. I don't know if I've actually, I don't think I've ever actually like watched like even a whole season or whatever. I've seen a certain couple episodes and things, but for whatever reason, I've never got into Scrubs much. So
I think it's I think without doubt it's one of the smartest TV series ever made. It's very funny, but it's also very serious. Nothing had ever consistently taken me to a point. Now that show started in 2001 and ended in like 2009 or 10 or whatever, but nothing had ever been so slapstick funny at times, and then by the end of the episode have you crying. Like nothing had ever done that to me before, like sad crying, not like crying from laughing. And that was just it impacted me so much. And it turns out that doctors everywhere, even like American medicals or whatever the thing's called, they even all say that they spoke out that this is the most realistic medical comedy, or the most realistic medical show on television. Like, and that's funny because like there's a lot of goofy shit that goes on in the show.
Yeah.
A lot of serious stuff, but a lot of goofy shit. And it's just funny to think that like, a lot of that stuff, really goes on. And what's funny is the writer, creator, Bill Lawrence, he was one of the guys on Spin City. If you ever watched that show, I love Michael J. Fox and anything Michael J. Fox has ever touched. Wiley McFly, hi. But his best friend in college was JD, the doctor.
Okay.
Like he made that television show about his best friend in college, and almost all the slapstick crazy things that happen, whether they're bowling patients into trash cans and wheelchairs, like whatever they're doing, that was actual stuff that the guy had done during his residency and internships and all that stuff while he was in med school and stuff. So fantastic television show. I love it. Really bummed yesterday because Sam Lloyd passed away. He played the lawyer Ted on the show. Incredible singer and musician. He has an a cappella band called The Blanks. Highly recommend checking them out. They're on Spotify, everything, but his actual real band was always on the show. They would just like do cameos and stuff like that. But man, he passed away yesterday. He had a brain tumor and passed away. So
yeah,
I went on a fuck cancer rant yesterday before we got on our podcast.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. It's been weird. Like, so my mom passed from brain cancer in December. And I don't know if it was all there and I just never really paid attention, but it seems like I watch any of these shows now and it's like everybody's got brain cancer or brain tumor, or it's just like, it's weird how much it's been popping up on every show I watch now. It's like, or in real life and even and stuff, like it's weird how much it's always there now. So
yeah, my grandmother raised me. She was the most important person in my life, but she passed away back in 2016 or 15, and it was a brain tumor. So it's a huge thing, man. One of our good buddies in the scene just lost somebody really important to him too. Tyler Cash from Hard Lost his wife.
Yeah. Well, we connected.
Cancer, man.
Yeah, we connected. Me and Tyler connected over that a little bit. Obviously both in similar circumstances. Just because Jess had the same diagnosis, stage 4 glioblastoma, and so I looked at her as like a source of inspiration. Here's somebody that's been living with it for 5 years or whatever it was, and and she, but of course, like we said, we know how it ended now, but and it was very, very sad. And but I look at Tyler having to deal with all this, the way he's stayed strong through the whole thing for that long, and it's it's incredibly tough, man. Because we with Mom's, it was only 5 months. It was like June, mid June 17th, she had the tumor removed, had brain surgery, and then we did some chemo and radiation and stuff, and then she was gone December 3rd, and it's like, was crazy how fast everything went. And,
Yeah.
But it was tough, man. But anyway, it just I've been trying to actually. I did a big benefit for her last fall, and called a Deb stock, and I'm going to do that again, and I'm going to make it a legit foundation and charity, and start to raise money and awareness for others in need, and try
That's
to get
amazing,
back.
man.
Yeah, do my part to support everybody else, man. Because again, like I was saying, it's everywhere. It's like, it's just crazy how often I've been hearing about all these different people with brain tumors and different things. So it's so hopefully I can make a difference.
Make sure you hit me up, man. I'm glad to help support however you need me, man. I'm definitely down. My grandmother, she had lung cancer, and she went in for surgery and had part of her lung removed in like July of 2014. By November 2015, her reports back to us were that she was A-okay, but I think what had happened is she had gone to the doctor at some point in time. They said, no, it's spread. But she didn't tell us, didn't let us know. And then until it was too late, and we found her collapsed at her house. And then we had to take her to the hospital, obviously. And she lasted another 2 weeks after that. So we only knew about it for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Before she passed, and there was no telling how long she'd been suffering with it and hiding that from us. So.
Yeah, I speculated that with my mom also. I feel like there, in retrospect, there were some things that happened prior that could have possibly been a red flag, but I kind of maybe just chalked it up to her being, maybe drunk at the time or something like that. And, I just didn't really think of it. But, I feel like there was probably a lot going on where she was scared and embarrassed and, didn't want to, say anything. So, until it was too late.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a tough one. But when you were talking about all that too, with Scrubs and how, make you laugh and make you cry. And even also, him playing in a band, it drew a lot of similarities for me with, The Office. Yes, I feel like that was The Office sometimes. I mean, I can laugh so hard through some of that stuff, but then all of a sudden at the end of the episode, like, they get you, and it's like, like you get caught up and something happens, and they, make you cry even. And like, but also Creed being an actual musician, also with his band and stuff, Grassroots, and so it was like, I thought that was so funny similarities and stuff in those, both being very well celebrated series and stuff. And but
I love The Office too.
I just I started it like on Netflix. It was one of those shows like I got into way late, so I decided to start at the very beginning, and like I watched a whole bunch of them real fast, and then I kind of like took a break, and I just recently during this quarantine went back and I finalized the last season and finished up the series, and it was so it was a lot of fun to do that.
I remember I watched all of Parks and Rec finally, and I was late to the game on that. So I binged that all between the last two seasons, and I binged it, and I was like, man, I want more. And I was like, I guess I'll finally give The Office a try. And then I watched The Office right after Parks and Rec. Like, I binged it all in like a month, like all of them in about a month. And absolutely, both those programs were great. And then I binged Friends right after that. I just went boom, boom.
Yeah, that's Stacy's. Like, she was really bummed that they took the Friends off of Netflix, because that
pissed me off.
That's her show. So yeah,
it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah,
I want them to put Drew Carey show on Netflix. If they would do that, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, there's some good stuff in there for sure, man. I haven't watched that show in a long time. Maybe I'll start Scrubs, and I'll report back on everything with you.
You should, especially if you like things like The Office and stuff, man. I mean, you're gonna get so attached to the cast works so well together, a lot like The Office did. It's The Office. The Office was hard to watch sometimes. I loved it, and I'll watch it over and over again. But like, Steve Carell did such a great job being cringy. Like, sometimes I'm like, I don't think I can keep watching this. Like,
right.
and But with Scrubs and stuff, you don't have as much of that cringiness. But it's still a fantastic program. I hope you check it out, man. I hope you love it as much as I do. It's fantastic.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'll definitely do that.
Oh, and one of the things that makes Scrubs so great, by the way, is the soundtrack. They put so much into their soundtrack. It's really cool. You'll pick up on it.
Nice. I was going to ask, there was one question I ask a lot of times too, is there a movie or TV show you wish you were in? Is Scrubs that TV show, or you got another one you think that Wiley would fit in better, or what do you
have
think?
To be Scrubs.
Yeah.
It would just have to be Scrubs. It'd be Scrubs or Seinfeld. It has to be one of those two.
Okay. Do you like connect to it because you like? Are you just like those characters, or do you feel like you want to be in that world, like being a doctor and stuff, or like was that ever a goal of yours or anything like that?
No, I never wanted to be a doctor, but I really related to two of the characters a lot. Zach Braff's character JD, and then Dr. Cox's character John C. McGinley, his character Dr. Cox and JD. I felt like I am. Like if you combine those two guys together, that's me. Like the things they struggle with and battle with their personalities and things they encounter. Like I feel like that's very, I'm not like medically bipolar, but I'm a little bipolar sometimes with things like the way I react and encounter things in my life. And I felt like so much connection to those two characters, especially when they were kind of like going back and forth with each other. I was like, those two people, me? Is that like, that's me? Like, and,
right.
And I fell in love with all the supporting cast and characters from there. And that's nothing has ever connected with me as well as that TV show. It's weird.
Yeah, man. That's such a fun feeling though. Like, when you do find that show, like it's like written for you, or whatever it is, like you just have that connection to it, and it's or a movie or whatever it is. So,
yeah, without a doubt, man.
Yeah, man. Let's see. Do you do any celebrity impressions?
No. It's kind of funny. I back whenever I was younger, everybody used to always tell me that I looked like Jim Carrey. And I'm cool with it. That's fine. But I don't get it as much anymore. Plus, I wear glasses now. I didn't just wear glasses back then. But I have tons of facial expressions. Like I'm very expressive with my face, and people are always like, "Dude, you just pulled a Jim Carrey right there." Like, like the alrighty then, like the jaw movement and stuff.
Right.
And I'm very expressive, and I used to always do Jim Carrey impersonations when I was a kid. Because everybody said, "Oh, you look like Jim Carrey." So, I can't tell you how many times that I would pull up next to somebody, like being in high school and cruising the strip. I'd pull up, I'd jump in the back seat, roll the window down. Like, can you guys tell me where the medical school is?
Yeah. That's a good one, man.
Good day, mate. Let's put another shrimp on the bobby. And what's actually, I left this part out. I definitely had a semi bowl cut, and I had a chipped tooth.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Just to complete the transformation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Dumb and Dumber, man, that movie's so good. That's one of those.
One of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, so funny. Well, man, I did, and so anybody that's following along with you on social media and stuff, which I thought, going back to Die Criminal stuff, there's also you were talking about some of the guitar parts, and I thought it was cool to see. I noticed that you have these guitar playthroughs on your Instagram and stuff. So
yeah.
So anybody that's a guitar player and wants to check those out, I thought that was fun to see you do that and sit down and take the time to play through it.
Yeah, man. It's like, listen, I'm a guitar player. I'm not a singer. I mean, I am a singer, but I never. When I was a kid, I was all about singing. I was in choir and chorus and all those things, and I had the voice of an angel. I'm not kidding you. And the 4th grade talent show, I sang Jackson 5's "I'll Be There," and I nailed it. All right.
Yeah.
You and I must make a pact. Like I sounded like a little fucking 5-year-old Michael Jackson, and I could that I could sing so well when I was a kid, but then I grew up, my voice changed. And I'm like, ugh. So I was like, fuck singing. I'm just going to play guitar. And then I became a guitar player, and I love guitar, and I play guitar. And then I was in so many bands, and every band broke up because the singer was an asshole. So I was like, fuck this. I'm going to be the singer. And then I tried to learn to sing, and I never really did well until I'd say the last, 5-6 years of my life, maybe 7 years of my life is when I actually started taking singing more seriously. I take vocal lessons and do things like that. But so my heart is always strong on guitar. So, I wrote this album, and this album is all me. Like, it's all me and the stuff that I've written. So I was like, man, it'd be cool as hell if I did my own playthroughs and stuff. So at the same time, I've been doing a lot of those playthroughs originally for the people who are going to play my shows. So when I start playing Diacriminal shows, which will be coming up as soon as coronavirus isn't trying to murder us all, I am going to start playing shows. I have a band to play behind me in California, a bunch of good buddies out here, and then I have a band to play behind me in St. Louis, a bunch of good buddies that are going to be doing that. I got some folks that people know pretty well in the music scene that's going to be backing me. I'm pretty excited about it. Gonna do some videos here in the next few weeks, months to kind of reveal who some of those folks are going to be.
Very cool, man.
But, playthroughs are fun. I love playing guitar, and I fucking love those riffs that I wrote on a couple of those songs, like, so much. So it almost feels like, yeah, oh wait, I wrote this. That's pretty cool.
You also wrote online just today. It says, "Be prepared, a Wiley podcast coming soon." That's true? You're gonna try to get into the podcast game?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get into the podcast game. It's just I've been listening to so many podcasts since this whole quarantine thing. Like, oh, by the way, you should check out Fake Doctors, Real Friends, Fake Doctors. It's the Zach Braff and Donald Faison podcast. They're actually watching all the entire 9 seasons of Scrubs, and then talking about each episode. You'd like that if you start watching the show. So they've had a lot of guests on and everything too. But yeah, I want to do a podcast. What I really want to do a podcast on is I want to do it on conspiracy theories. Like, once the world opens back up, I want to go out and I want to offer somebody lunch if they will talk conspiracy theories, like strangers. Like strangers, just sit down, talk about conspiracy theories. Just walk up to somebody like, hey, what do you think of 9/11? I'll buy you lunch. Let's talk about it. And you're either going to get one of two things out of this situation. You're going to get somebody that's well thought out and has, no, I really don't think it's a real thing, or I really do think this is a real thing. And then you're going to have the crazy conspiracies, the theories and the conspiracies about everything. And there's going to be, aluminum foil on their head, like, God, they're coming for us. And it's just going to be hilarious. But then I want to take those and break those down. And then I want to sit in, have, somebody like you or, anybody that wants to sit down and just kind of go over and kind of chat it up about the conspiracy theories that we're talking about with random strangers. I just think that would be funny sometimes, but I think it'll also be kind of entertaining and kind of in depth. But and maybe have a good chalk it up session where you just bullshit for a half hour, an hour, or something like that as well. So that's what I have on my mind. Yeah, I want to plan it because I don't like to just. I'm probably one of the most structured people you ever meet in your life. I have to have a process for everything. I'm a little crazy with it. So I would have to plan out a month's worth of podcasts and everything that I'm going to do in order. But that's what I want to do. I've already got a recording studio set up in my spare room. I've already got the means necessary to do it. I want to do it. It'll be fun. Yeah, man, do it. I'll be happy to help whatever I can do, man. If I can lend a hand. So yeah, I'll definitely hit you up for some advice on some stuff. I was just looking at some mixers and a webcam. So yeah, gonna do all kinds of stuff. Very cool, man. I was gonna mention check out my buddy's Anything But Credible podcast. They do a couple different segments, but one of their segments that's their main feature is
they do a different weekly conspiracy that they kind of talk about. And they don't take anything like super seriously with it. Like they don't talk about any of these like super, serious ones. They just have fun with it, and they like to call it like bro science. Like they're just a couple of dudes, and they like to. It's all for entertainment. They don't really get too invested in any of the theories that they talk about. But they, like one of them I just heard the other day that I thought was pretty interesting. But it was a theory that. Like Frozen, the Disney movie, that was like a cover up for the Disney, like Walt Disney. Remember when like all that was like, it was just like perceived to be fact that he had his head frozen after he died and stuff to like come back cryogenically frozen. So they were saying like that was like this theory that they believed that when you typed in Disney Frozen, that was like the first thing that came up was all about Walt Disney having his head frozen and stuff. So like, but now if you type it in after as those movies exploded, all you're going to get is about the animated movie. So it was a way for them to like bury all that story in the, and stuff where people forget about it and things. And so I don't know. Awesome. I was like, man, there's probably, could be some truth to that for sure. Like, who knows? Like, but it made a lot of sense when they were talking about it. So,
yeah, dude, I love conspiracy theories, and not even like I'm not like just all in and believing. There are several that I do believe, and I think so much research has been done to make them credible. But like there's have you read about the United States National Park System and all the random disappearances that have happened in our national parks? There's been thousands of people just vanish in our parks, and there's different theories about what's happening and how these people are just vanishing and dying or never turning up without a trace, just gone. And then there's also another conspiracy built into that one about like the United States tunnel systems, about like maybe people go into a cave or a tunnel and that's how they've gone missing. And they show like how a lot of these tunnel systems are actually interconnected throughout the United States and stuff like that. It's pretty crazy, but that'd be fun as hell to talk with somebody about, like, especially, if somebody's like, like some, war veteran, like, I believe that Kennedy did this. And just be,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, man, that'd be something there, I think. So, be interested to give it a listen whenever you get around to it, man.
Yeah, I got the music stuff. I'd like to take on too many things. It's like I told you earlier about about drawing lines. I invest myself really heavy into things, projects, work, and I love it. But it keeps me busy. It's probably what keeps me alive. I'm gonna be one of those guys that when I retire, I'll just die.
Right. I believe I'll be that guy also.
It's like, he was perfectly healthy. He just died.
Yeah.
He retired and fuck.
Yep. Yeah, I feel that, man.
Hey, when are you guys? Are you guys gonna try to plan another homie Halloween bash?
I don't know. I've never been involved in the planning process, though. I was just invited to host it the last one or whatever. But I'd be down for that for sure, man. Those are always a good time.
Yeah, you left the last one, and for the city was playing, and we handed it off to Kubi to finish hosting. Kubi's blind, and that's hilarious.
Yeah.
But you handed it off to Kubi and me. So me and Kubi took over and hosted the rest of the thing, and then I got on stage and did stand up on accident.
Yeah.
Just making fun of Kubi.
Yeah, I think I had to work or some shit. I think that I had to go to Oyster Bar and work a shift or something like that. It happened and worked out that something like that. Otherwise, I try to, if I commit to it, I'm going to be there. But I forget what happened that night. Why I had to bail on you guys.
Oh yeah, I mean we should definitely try to mess with Gabe and get that going. Maybe but I really would love, seriously, to do one of those singer-songwriter things that you do, man. That would be so cool. I would love to be a part of that. Since I played that show at Duck Room, I've played 3 more acoustic shows. and I love it now. Like I'm not, and the jitters are gone. You know, it's real freaking smart to play your first ever acoustic solo show with like 3 of the most talented people in the entire city, if not 3 of just the most talented people, you know, and do it in front of all of your fucking judgmental friends. So I would love to do that again, man. I think we should really try to put our heads together and make some cool shit happen with that.
So you never even did like open mic or something like that? Like
no.
Yeah.
No. Nope. All those years being a front man, you know, I just thought I could fucking do this.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I can imagine, man. I don't, like I said, I imagine it's a whole different world though when, like I said, you all that stripped away and just you and acoustic guitar up there.
You and acoustic guitar, don't forget your fucking capo.
That's the moral of the story.
God.
Well, buddy, this has been a ton of fun, man. I really have enjoyed hanging with you tonight and last night. And man, and anybody that's if you enjoyed Wiley, I'd highly encourage you to check out the Stone Dog Show with Gabe Stroop whenever that episode comes out, because we had a really good time recording that night too. So.
Yeah, that was a blast. That was so much fun. I can't wait to do more podcasts with you guys, man. That's so fun. Yeah, man. And like I say, it's cool that we can still keep up like this, you know, even though there's so much space between us, but we can still hang out and talk. And so, always down.
Yeah, man. Well, buddy, well, thanks for doing this. And again, the record is a whole lot of fun. I'm excited to hear more from Die Criminal. Whenever we get around to some more tunes coming soon, and but be sure to check that out wherever you're getting your music at.
Yep, got that EP. Then I'm doing 2 more EPs before this year ends, FYI. So 2 more EPs, and then I'm also playing guitar for a band called Close to Heart out here in Sacramento. So check that out too.
Yeah, man, we'll do. All right, buddy. Well, I thank you, and hope to see you soon. And we'll get some Qdoba and some T-Rabs together.
Shit, yeah, in that order.
Yeah. All right. Bye, everybody.